My name's Scott Christensen. I do ELA, but I also am on the AI team here. And so we were able to get Tracy here from Magic School, and he's in remotely, but he's gonna share with you guys some of the techniques, some of the things you can use Magic School to do to help out. And with that, I'm gonna turn this over to Tracy. We're trying the owl. I've never used it, so it's my first time. Things go south. Be nice.
What?
It's a, he's
Owl.
talking to us.
So you should be able to hear him out of this.
I just always want to call it Magic School.
Okay, all right, Tracy, it's all you.
Awesome. Well, I hope you guys can hear me okay. Please let me know if I need to speak up or if there's
Thumbs
anything.
up so you can see.
Um, all right, we're gonna go ahead and get started. I have a lot here planned for us. With 30 minutes, I'm going to speed up a little bit and change things as we go to make sure that you guys get what you need today. Also, feel free to ask questions as we go. I will cover as much as I can in the time that we have. So, skipping over several things that I normally do, I'm just going to jump into the one thing that we always do before we work with folks about AI. It's just to jump into thinking through best practices whenever you use any AI platform, including ours. I also think this helps you understand how to approach using Magic School so that you get the most out of it. So we'll hop through these really quickly, and then we're going to jump into the platform and kind of look around. Anytime you're using an AI, we like to have folks make sure that they understand that AI is capable of producing biased or inaccurate information. We do a lot of work on our end to make sure that that does not happen, but it still can. And so this is just a big reminder that like anytime you're going to try to put anything that the AI produces in front of students, make sure to look at it first and make sure that the information that's contained in there is the information that you want to present. The next two pieces I think are super important, particularly when you're coming to a platform for the first time, is to understand the idea behind the platform is to help folks do the things that they already do just a little bit more quickly. Um, and so what I would love for you guys to think through is um, when you're getting outputs from our platform, how close are those outputs to what you want? They're not going to be perfect. They're just not. They're not going to be able to do the work that you do. But what they can do is help you get to the end product that you're trying to create a little bit more quickly and save you some time along the way. And so this idea of the 80-20 approach is something that's important for you to think about. Um, that fraction isn't always 80-20. If we're honest about it, like it depends on what you're trying to do with the platform. Sometimes it can get you almost all the way there. Sometimes it's more like 50-50. And so it really does depend on what you're trying to accomplish. But please always think about this as a partnership with the AI and make sure that you understand that your judgment matters here. The work that you do on top of what this program produces is what's going to make this specific for your needs, for your student needs, and for your classroom. And so just understand that you are critical to the loop here and making sure that kids get what they need. Last two things, all AIs are limited to their knowledge set. So our knowledge set is updated through June 24. The next update for all of these knowledge sets will be very soon, and that'll cover the last bit of 2024. But just know that if you're asking for anything between June and now, it's probably not going to do a great job of giving you what you need in that space. And in terms of privacy, there's never any reason to put any of your personal information into these spaces. And so we recommend that you don't. And there's certainly, if you ever using this with students, no reason for them to put their information in here either. We do a lot of work on the back end to clean it up, but better if they don't put it in there in the first place. In terms of Magic School, I'm going to suggest that you all go to this space at some point later today, given our short time frame. This is what we call our wall of love. If you're looking for ways in which you might want to use Magic School, this is a great place to go and explore. And I'll show you how to get there from the platform. I'm not sure if folks are logged in yet, so I'll show you how to go, and so you can get there on your own. But when you come into the platform, you'll look on this menu on the left-hand side, and underneath where it says Launch to Students, you can click on the Love button. This is a silly space. It's one that was a marketing play initially, but what we've found out is that teachers find a lot of value in going in here and actually scrolling through and seeing what it is other teachers are doing with Magic School. So if you are looking for yourself, trying to find ways that this might be helpful for you, you can come in here and see how other teachers are using it, both for themselves and for their students. And I think it will help you get an idea of ways in which you might want to use it too. So with all of that said, what is Magic School actually? Well, for teachers, it's 80 plus tools that are built with AI, are powered by AI is probably a better way to describe it, to help you lesson plan, differentiate, communicate with each other, and all sorts of different aspects. Specifically for math teachers, we do have math tools that are here to help. Some of the ones that I'll highlight for you that I think are huge time savers are there's a math story word problem that does a great job of building word problems for any given topic you want to give it. So there's a spiral view generator that'll take various topics that you place into it and produce kind of questions that'll cover the topics that you want. Certainly with students, they're always like, how am I going to use this in the real world? We do have a real world connections tool that helps you generate ideas for ways in which you can connect the math content that you are exploring to real world examples. And I know that helps kids. And also the multiple explanations tools is actually one that I think is super helpful for science and math teachers, to be honest, to be able to explain things in different ways. Sometimes things resonate differently with kids. And so those are just a handful of the math tools that we have available to you. What I'd love for you all to do now is hopefully that you can get on the Magic School website and look around. I'd love for you to go and explore the platform a little bit. If that can't happen, or if you guys don't have devices with you, please let me know, and I'll
They've all
do-
got devices, Tracy. Is everyone able to get in? Is everyone in? then?
So they have like different tools.
Sweet. Yeah, most of us are in. Tracy.
excellent. So as you go look through this, what I'm going to do is just kind of suggest a way to look at the platform rather than kind of show you very, very specific tools. First, you have your favorites up here at the top. This is the list that you build. So as you're looking through the tools today, if you think there are tools that you want to use, go ahead and click the star at the top right-hand side of that tool, and that's going to send it to your favorites. So you have your short lists up here of tools that you use all the time. There's a SAT math practice one here in my favorites. Also, there's a recommended for you space. The way you get these recommendations is by setting up your profile. You can quickly click on this little cog right here and open up your profile settings so that you can change this subject here to match whatever it is that you're looking for. So subject is the wrong word. We know that. We're going to change it. But what this does have is all of the roles that we could think of adding for schools. And so, you know, obviously math is a subject that you can select, but there are other roles here as well. So if you're in STEM world or other spaces, you can select those. If you try to select more than one, just know that the only one that is going to run the recommendations is the first one that you select. So if I select two of these, really only the math recommendations will be shown. And then once you do that, just come down here and save your profile. And once you've saved your profile, if you go back to your tools list and look at your recommendations, now you're seeing recommendations for math tools. So just a quick how to make sure that you're seeing recommendations for tools that you might use. The last way to get recommendations for tools is to come over here and just click on the tool recommender. And what you can do is just describe what type of thing you would like to create or what your job is or what you're trying to produce. And it'll recommend some tools for you to use. So would love to give you a minute or so to explore that and just kind of think about which tools you might use and maybe favorite them so that you're creating a list for yourself up here. While you guys are doing that, I'll show you some tools that I think might be useful for you. And instead of scrolling the big list, what I would highly recommend that you do is use these category buttons to go ahead and shorten that list down into a manageable list to look at. So scrolling that big list is probably not the best way to go. In terms of tools that you might use for math, One of the ones that I think most teachers skip over, but I think is super useful is a standards unpacker. I would encourage you to put a standard in there that you think that you really know well, and see how well your understanding of that standard matches what comes out. I think sometimes you find that it does. Sometimes you find that there's like stuff that you wouldn't consider as being a part of that standard, or maybe things that you forget. So it's a good way to check yourself. Also, another way to use it is if you're just teaching a standard you've never taught before, plug it in there and does a good job of pulling out things like learning objectives within that standard. You can see it gives you key concepts, learning targets, some suggestion for assessment or instruction strategies. So again, I think that's one that sometimes falls under the radar that can be super useful. Gonna try to skip over here to the questions generators. Obviously, story word problems take a lot of time for everybody. So I think that's something that would be something you should look into. I think that's a really easy win for math teachers. There's also our SAT math practice, which does a good job of producing math questions for that are similar to SAT math. Your spiral review generator here is just one that will produce questions based on whatever topic you add. And then in terms of things that might be a little bit fly under the radar, but I think might be helpful, is this depth of knowledge question generator. I know for me, level 1, level 2 depth of knowledge of questions come really easily, are easy to write, they're quick. The ones that take more time are the ones that, are level 3, 4 synthesis analysis questions. And so you can come in here and throw in a topic and get level 3 or 4 questions relatively quickly, and then you can build off of what you get here. So I think this is one that is helpful for folks to know that exists. I'll be quiet and let you guys search around and build a list of favorite tools. Also, I'll take questions right now. This would be kind of like a good opportunity for folks to, if they don't understand what a tool does, or if you are looking for a recommendation for a specific thing, this would be a great time to ask that question.
You guys have any ACT practice stuff coming up?
We're working on that.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've heard a lot of feedback that like the SAT is not the only one. So yes, we're working on an ACT tool, and we know there's also subject specific ACT ones. So those are things that we're working on for sure.
What is the text leveler?
It's a similar tool to any general text leveler that you might use, where you plug in the text here and you set what grade level you want it to be leveled to, and it'll
And you type
adjust the
that
language.
easier,
I'm sorry?
or it's a different language?
So this
So
just
like, so let me take a really
You know, when we use
context
Newsela,
and like use
like,
like,
they would they would level the text in Newsela.
Oh my gosh.
This, you can put any text you want in there and it'll level.
so like third grade level.
Oh, I get you. Okay.
Just a quick note here too is like you can copy and paste it in there, but also you can upload things like documents from your computer or things from your Google Drive into spaces like this using this little paperclip. And this paperclip exists all across our platform so that you can upload information rather than just copy and paste. Hopefully that makes things a little bit more efficient.
Okay.
In terms of translation, though, that was a question. So we do have a text translator in here. I would argue that it's significantly better than Google or whatever kind of other comparative translator that you've used before. So yeah,
You just say like translate. Translate word.
Cool, man.
That's sick.
and then you got. I'll show you how kind of tools work generally, and then how you can build off of what the tool gives you to kind of make it your own. So we'll come in here and I'll just show you an example of a math story word problem generator. I'll ask for 7 questions. Does anybody want to give me a standard or concept that we should look at?
We have guys, check one out there.
Quadratics.
Ooh.
You calculate on yourself.
You're not messing around. Going straight.
Going straight for the quadratic equations. This is a story word problem, so we're going to give it a topic. This will be fun. Gosh, what's a good topic for quadrant?
Snowboarding,
What was it?
snowboarding, skiing.
Oh, that'll be fun.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right, let's see how it does. It even pulled Winter X Games in here. Um, that's pretty good actually. It gives, a example of some various different snowboard related parabolic paths that the snowboard might travel and ask kids to solve questions there. One of the things that I want to point out too is we've worked really hard to make math look like it should in our outputs. I think if you use um, lots of other AI platforms, you end up with math that doesn't necessarily look like math. And so we've done a lot of work to make sure that when a math equation comes through our platform, it looks like math should. And so,
Wait, let's pause though, because mine is not, but my neighbor's is. So is there a setting, like, do I need to clear my cache or something?
um, great question. I am curious what tool you're in.
I'm in Chrome.
Not which browser, which tool you're using.
Tool. Oh, I was writing a worksheet. I see.
So the math specific tools use models that will produce math well. If you're using like a general tool, because the models that are here are a little bit more expensive, we kind of have to like figure out which models work best for math and use those in the math tools. So if you want good math, go to one of our math tools. It's just,
What's lesson planning?
Where,
but it's a
Well,
great example.
What ones qualify as math?
Math, yeah.
Like I did
so-
the
The lesson plan was mine.
alternative explanations and it didn't show math stuff.
Right. So basically anything that says math in it is going to get you solid
Okay.
math output. So math spiral view, math word problems. I believe our multiple choice generator does a decent job with math. Let's see, because we have a lot of obviously like math multiple choice stuff comes through. Let's see. So I got y equals mx plus b. Now that works. So the multiple choice generator is good. So yeah, I think you can get good math output from a lot of the tools. Worksheet generator is not math specific at all, so I think that's probably why you're experiencing that when you're there.
thank you.
Uh-huh. So lots of options, lots of tools that might be helpful. Any other quick questions before I move into showing you what you can do with the outputs of a tool once you get the output?
This might be simple, Tracy. I haven't looked at the math side too much, but I'm wondering if are there any of the tools or are there any chatbots being developed for guiding a student through how to do a question, almost like a remediation? The student missed class and you wanted them to be able to learn how to do what you did, or it's walk them through step by step and then teach them, sort of.
Yes. So I'd love to switch gears and show you student facing tools. Because there's all of these tools are meant for you all. But there are a set of student facing tools here as well. So if you look at Magic Student, there's tons and tons and tons of tools here too. Then these are tools that you can assign to students based on the assignment that you're working with students on that day. And so I'll kind of show you how that works, and I'll show you how you can customize that tool to have that conversation with a student and then assign it to a group of students. So this is meant to be your kind of space where you explore what the student tool is and how it works. This is not what students will see. Students will never see this big list of tools. We did that purposely. There's no reason for this many tools to be in front of a kid ever in a lesson. So we wanted to give you the opportunity to assign a tool based on what you think is reasonable for that class that you're teaching. So when you're looking at this, this is your space to go and learn how these tools work so that you understand which tool you want to assign to your students. For math, I would highly recommend this Quiz Me tool. You can throw in a concept and have it ask students questions on that specific concept. So we'll take quadratics again. And it'll start by giving them a question. And it says, what do you think your answer should be? And I'll just throw in an answer. And it'll say, oh, you missed that one. Here's why. And it'll actually talk them through what the steps should have been to solve that one. And then it'll give them a follow-up question to help get them in the right direction. So this is an example of a tool that you could use with the student. And then you can actually build that tool and assign it to the group of students you want to have that tool. Are you guys curious about how that works?
Yeah,
Sorry. I'm having a hard time getting the
that one.
generate image.
Image
thing.
generator is it's an Adobe product that requires an Adobe Express account. You can get one for free, super easy to do, and I can show you how to do it. But without that, you only get a certain number of credits. It's like 25 or something. But if you go and get the free educator account, you can get 250 credits a month, and that's pretty close to unlimited. Like we don't have anybody who's gone over that at this point. So I think that will solve your issue.
Okay. So it looks like, I don't know. Looks like I have an account. Anyway, I don't know what it allows.
Okay.
So when you make something, like I just made a vocabulary geometry word list.
Okay.
Should I always save it? It was prompting me to save it to my Google Docs. Is that the best way?
So I want to show you anything that you put out on the teacher side of things will live in your output history. So anything that you do in the platform on the teacher side of things,
Oh,
you
okay.
can come over and click on your output history and go find in here.
Well,
You
how
can
about-
also, sorry, go ahead.
Cool.
Okay, I have a question about
So
that.
you can save it in another space if you want, but it'll also live here as well.
So,
Oh, we got another question, Tracy.
Yeah, let me just show one other thing really quick. Is let's say you have something that you want to remove from our system and put someplace else. It's a super easy step to do. So I'll just go back to our previous quadratic equation snowboarding questions. And if I want to take that and move it to a Google document that you want to use, you can just straight up copy it, or you can export it to a Google Doc from here. So easy ways to move things from our platform into the other platforms that you guys use. Hopefully that helps with that question as well.
so every input, because like I know I used to write a letter of recommendation. And then I got out to tweak it a little bit and had to start over, so I could have gone here and found my previous version. Or is it I have to like save what I create?
Nope. If you had a previous letter of recommendation that you wrote for another student, you could come to your output history and you can use the search tools to find that
There was
letter
no
of
saving
recommendation.
required, if I just put in a prompt and it came up, I'm good.
Correct. Any generation that comes out of any of our tools will be saved right here.
Thank you so much.
Yep. Other questions about that specifically?
It's to the left. It's like 3 down. Output history is to the left, 3 down. Could you tell me about that quiz thing you were doing right now? Like, you guys should really know this quiz thing.
Adobe Express.
Yeah. So I'll go back to the student tool side of things.
Is it? Oh, that's a student? That's for student. It's not for teacher.
You can build a quiz on the teacher side, but you would want to assign students a tool to use in your class. If that's how you want them to use it.
Okay, so it's magic tools. Is that how you get back? So you're saying if I want to assign a quiz, that's that one on yours, it's on like 3 down on the right. Is that yours? Quiz me? Is that what you're
So-
talking about?
Yeah, I'll go back to the tools page really quick.
Yeah,
Make
okay.
sure if you're looking at the top right hand corner,
Yeah.
If you're on Magic School, these are all teacher tools.
Oh, I got you.
If you're
Okay.
on Magic Student, these are all student tools.
Okay, and Quiz Me is a student tool.
And Quiz You, yeah, it's a student tool. And what you can do is actually assign that tool to a group of students. And I'm going to show you how to do that real quick.
Okay, thanks.
So if you want to assign a tool to a student, once you've played around with it and understood exactly how it works, you can come over here and click on Launch to Students. This will bring up your teacher dashboard that shows you all the rooms that you've built for your students. We'll come back to this after I show you how to build a room. But essentially, every time you want to assign students a tool, you want to build a room with that tool in it. So you can click on the top right-hand corner to where it says Launch a New Room. And this is where you would name that room. I would, hit pause, jump up and down and say, like, doing this in a specific way that your students understand is important because the name of the room that you build will be the name that the students see. So naming it in a particular way that your students understand is important. Also, so setting the grade level because that's going to determine how the tool interacts with students. You also want to set the number of students that you want to have access to that room. And then when you click next, you'll see that there's the big list of tools here. So you get to select any of these tools that you want to assign to your student. So let's say we want to assign that QuizMe tool. I can come down here and find the QuizMe tool, click on it, and you see it's been added here at the top. I'm going to add a couple of more tools just so you can see what they look like. I'll add a custom chatbot. And then I will also add, you know what, let's just go with those two for now. When I click next, this will give me an opportunity to customize the tools that I've added to this room. So this is where you go in and you say, well, if I want a quiz me tool to quiz kids on quadratics, then I need to build it. So you come in here and you name that tool. You can even put instructions for students where this description is. So you can tell them how to interact with this tool in a way that's useful. I can write some instructions, but I'd save time and move forward a little bit. You can decide what topic you want to use with that tool. So we're going to put quadratic equations in here. And then obviously you wouldn't want students to be able to change the topic of the tool. So you can actually use this little blue eyeball. And if you turn it gray, it'll remove that option from students so that you are choosing what students are doing in that tool. So again, the idea here is you set up the tool and then you can assign it to your students. Let's say you know you're going to do this again. You can also save this setup as a template so you don't ever have to do it again. I'll just save it as for my QuizMe tool. And then if I ever want to use it again, I can come in here and find it. So you've set up a quadratic equations tool that you can reuse. Anytime you want to assign a tool to a student, you want to test it before they get it. So you come over here and click next, and you can test it. And you can make sure it works the way that you want it to. It's going to give the student a question on quadratics. It's going to ask them for the answer. They can answer. If they got it right, it'll say, great, you got it right. Let's move on. And here's another question. So that's how you want this tool to work with your students. Then you could save it. And you see that your quadratic quiz me has been saved. You can also customize chatbots in a similar way. I'm going to use a template that I've already used for pre-algebra. This is one where I've uploaded a set of notes here that the entire chatbot is going to be working from. So you can upload the notes from your class to drive the conversation that this is going to have with students. I know it's going to work the way that I want. I can test it again if I'd like. It says, I'm helping you prepare for an exam, and it starts a conversation with you about pre-algebra. And then it asks what topic you would like to cover. So this is more of a student-driven conversation where the student is saying, I want to cover these things within the notes, whereas the Quiz Me tool is more of a you choose the topic tool. And then you click on Launch to Room, and you share with your students via a link. There's 3 different ways that you can do that. You can just click here and copy the link and share it with students. You can create a Google Classroom with that link in it, or you can ask kids to join via a join code. But either of those ways will take a student to this space. Since you guys don't have SSO, they will have to type in their name. And then they'll be brought into the space where the tools are that you've created. They'll always see this responsible use policy anytime they enter that room. It just, we know kids need repetition, so we want to repeat what it is that we want them to use this tool for and how we want them to interact with it. They'll click, I understand, and then they can come in here and start their conversation with the quadratic Quiz Me tool that you built. I'm just going to do a couple of interactions here so you guys can see what that looks like on the teacher side of things. So a student has done a couple of things here. You can click on that student and see what's happening in that student's conversation. You can actually open it up and see if the student got the question right or not. So you could use this as a classwork assignment if you wanted. You could use this as a homework assignment as well. You could do this in lots of different ways. Any quick questions before I move forward? I know we're running short on time, and I'm running as fast as I can to get through these things with you.
Any questions? No? Yeah. We're going to move on, Tracy.
Cool. So once you've built a tool, you can kind of see what's happening with your students, how they are interacting with that tool. Let's say that, for instance, you have a student who maybe did something silly within the tool and it gets flagged. You can actually come here to this actions button and lock their screen. That means that they can no longer interact with any of the tools that you built. So you can go have a conversation with them about why that happened. And then when they're ready to get back to work, you can come back here and activate them again, and they can get started. Also, if you wanted to, let's say, lock an entire room at the end of your class so that students no longer have access to those tools, you can do that. And it produces the same result, but for everybody in the class, not just for the one person that you selected. Let's say also that you have multiple classes where you want to assign this, but you want to have different rooms for those classes. You don't want to have all of your students in one room. You want to have your first class in one room, your second class in a different room. You can go over here and duplicate that room so that you don't have to build those tools again. And if you duplicate that room, what happens is you go back to your teacher dashboard with your big list of rooms, and that copied or duplicated room shows up right here. And then you can come here and you can change the name of that room to whatever you would like. Check, and now it's third period. It has the same tools that you've already built in it, so you don't have to build the tools again. And it has a different join link so that when you give this link to the students in third period, they're going to go into this room and not the previous one that you created. So you can build rooms for each and every single class period that you have. Any questions about that process at all?
Oh, no questions.
Cool. Couple things I'd like to show you about the big teacher dashboard. Let's say that you forgot to lock it at the end of a class and you want to make sure that you lock that room before the end of the day is done. You can actually come here and do the same thing. You can lock your rooms from this space as well. You'll notice it disappeared. It didn't disappear. It just went over to your space where the locked rooms are listed. And then you can also unlock them from this space as well, in case you want to start them for the next
Is
day.
there, is there an automatic lock at a certain time feature?
We're working on that. We know that folks would like to be able to open and close rooms at specific times so that they don't have to remember to go and lock and unlock rooms. That's something that we're working on. We've heard that feedback for sure. So great question.
We've got about five, just as a heads up, we got about 5 more minutes. They just told me. Just so you
Yeah,
know.
I figured we were getting close. A couple of other things that I can't show you in that room that I built, but I can show you in some of the other rooms that I already have. We've worked really hard to build in kind of ways for you to track how things are going in the class. And so we have moderation live in the platform. That's meant to catch if a student does something silly. And so let's say, a student types in something into the space that they shouldn't, it should get flagged. We certainly have, we're working on making this exactly what we want it to be. Moderation is tough. It's not easy. And so we certainly have ways to go in terms of allowing folks to set this moderation the way exactly they want it. But for now, we basically set it as sensitive as possible. So sometimes it catches things that maybe aren't the most egregious, but also like we've figured better to err on the side of caution. So you can see anytime that happens here by these yellow flags. And then also you can come up here and click on this moderate button and you can see all the flags that have happened in that class. So it's a super easy way for you to see anything that has gotten flagged. One other quick thing that I'll show you too is that oftentimes there are reasons that you might want to share a room with another teacher so that they can monitor that class. Maybe if you get sick or if you need a sub or whatever the case may be, you can actually add a co-teacher here by sharing a link with that co-teacher. And once they click on that link, you actually have to come over here and approve them as a co-teacher. But once you do that, they'll be able to run this class and do all the things that you would be able to do in that class in your absence. So super helpful feature.
So
Yeah, go
Tracy,
ahead.
if I'm in a PLC and we sit down and we build one of these classes together, can I share them as a teacher and then they can duplicate it for their own class?
You can do it one step better. So that was my next step actually is
Oh.
let's say you build something and you want to share it as a template. You can share it as a template here. So right underneath where it says co-teachers, it says share template. And essentially what that does is it allows you to share the room that you've built as a template for whoever else you want to share it with. You can share it within your org only or publicly. If you click that, what it'll do is give you a link that you can share to whomever you would like to share that room with. And when that person clicks on that link, that room will populate in their rooms as a template that then they can open and share with students as they like.
That's awesome.
So yeah, lots of functionality here and ways to kind of try to be a little bit more efficient with how you spend your time creating these rooms. I've gone as quick as I could, and I know I've gone over, but I appreciate your time, guys. If there are any other questions, I'd love to answer them, but I also know that you guys have other trainings today, so.
Does anyone have anything they want? From once, twice? All right, I think we're good. Thank you so much, Tracy.
Thank
All right,
you.
y'all. Thank you very much for your
Thanks.
time. I hope you have a great rest of your day. And if you have other questions as they come up, please let us know.